Don't worry about it, just complete your task. Keep pushing. Look, I got a song for you right here. It go like this. Hey, can't nobody say no when the Father say yes. If it ain't for me, it ain't for me, I ain't stressed. Hey, I just know he got in all my steps. Tell him they ain't seen nothing yet. Hey, prayers answered, I think he hearing us. The Savior's still alive, we ain't got that much time. Tighten up while you playing with that grace. Sinning before his face, when it pop off, you can't escape. When the trumpets blow, it ain't no wait. Let me get myself together, hold up. I wasn't ready, keep that all in your lamb. Sword in your hand, don't you trust in no man unless they do what he's saying. The Messiah is our example. In his name, it ain't nothing that you can't do. I wrote a song about it, like to hear it, here it go, it's a sample. These ain't bars, these is parables. You ask me what this walk is all about, I'ma tell you flat out, repentance, endurance. You know, you gotta have the strength to keep going regardless of what it look like. The world say no, the Father say yes. No matter what they saying about you, to you, look to him. All of the answers is in that book. Trust me, ain't nothing changed. Yeah, hey, overwhelmed, I fall to my knees. Father, thank you for this air that I breathe. My good health and the fact that I believe. I can't believe you chose me, I don't understand. So many are more worthy. I know a few more qualified, they have it all. He don't call the prepared, he prepares the called. When he call, who gon' answer? Against the evildoers, who gon' stand up? Fearless, mercy to the stranger, the widow and her children. You do wrong and they rebuke you, that's a real friend. Hold on to that, that's priceless. These nations throwing stones at the throne, don't know what's going on, provoking him to anger. One day he gon' show him, the Lion of Judah. I don't think they ready. Euphrates River dry, we getting close to Armageddon. Whoa. Somebody better tell them who they playing with. The ruler of armies, yeah, the savior on his way again. Nations gon' be bowing down at his presence. The same mouths that blaspheme, confessing. I don't wanna get caught on the wrong side. When he crack the sky, it's gon' be terrifying. So it's the covenant we cleave to. Abba, have mercy on your children, we need you. We keeping the laws, commandments in your feast too. I'm trying to see that land of milk and honey, got a sweet tooth. The devil is a lie, and we gon' preach truth. You get one life, ain't no sequel. The last season, Moedim, ain't no getting through them gates without that blood on you. I can tell he ordering my steps, cause when the world said no, the Father still said yes. Since we dropped 7 trumpets, here we are, 2020, we alive. If you hearing this, I would hope you alive. Event part 9. I can feel it in the air, and I can hear the trumpets sounding, the picture's getting clearer, and ain't no way around it. It seems like day by day we get closer to the second coming. They say I'm bugging, but they gon' hear the trumpets. Funny how time flies, we getting close. It's a couple seconds left and it's starting to show. Luke 21 is manifested, so cleave to that Torah, keep looking forward. His eyes are recording all of your current choices, even this very moment. Self-reflection is very necessary. Where is your treasure? Heaven's where you should store it. It's appointed unto man once to die in the judgment. Can you afford it? Read the scriptures, they live in water. You see the picture, I'm just a vessel. I speak it, the spirit reaches the listener. Can't even take the glory. You say it's jamming, I tell them the Father made it for me. All praises, the unbelievers gon' see him shortly. The Savior that is, scriptures making that clear, prophecies being fulfilled. Imagine that you fell off and didn't study the word. All of a sudden, was that a trumpet I heard? Feel it in the air, and I can hear the trumpets sounding, the picture's getting clearer, and ain't no way around it. It seems like day by day we get closer to the second coming. They say I'm bugging, but they gon' hear the trumpet. Sick of stressing 400 years, still in depression. I tried running from my calling like Jonah, learning similar lessons, but now I'm all in. It's truly a blessing when you encouraging the brethren. We already dead if we live in pleasure. Hell of the kingdom, you tell me which is better. Thankfully Christ is our intercessor. Scoffers mocking the Messiah, will he really appear? Lo and behold, at the second coming they unprepared. Tighten up. Do we have free will? If your story's already written, he saw it from the beginning, regardless of your decision. Before you even did it, the almighty power, but yet he's merciful. He sent his son to die for me. Like pick up your cross and follow me. The narrow path, who's the door to the sheep? You gotta choose sides before the judgment. Keep your eye out for the second coming. And the seventh trumpet. Can feel it in the air. And I can hear the trumpets sounding. The picture's getting clearer. And ain't no way around it. It seems like day by day we get closer to the second coming. Second coming. They say I'm bugging, but they gon' hear the trumpets. May 20th, 2019. I dropped 7 trumpets. You know it's crazy. On Jerusalem, I said sitting on an album that'll change my life. At that time, I really didn't know it was gonna change my life. I just spoke it. Lo and behold, here we are. 11:59 coming soon.
Shalom, shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
Shabbat. All praises to the Most High and H.O.D.C. All praises to the Most High in Christ, of course. We're in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Just celebrated the Passover a few days ago. And of course, we're going to go into a lesson that surrounds the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but this is called Unleaven Your Vessel. What not eating leaven does is actually purifies you. Okay? This is a memorial of what our forefathers went through in the land of Egypt over 3,000 years. So in remembering and doing what they did, Most High has given us a gift to always remember what he did for us and what we went through. Let's start in the book of Psalms 106 today. Psalms chapter 106, let's start at verse 5. 106 and 4, actually. Psalms 106 and 4.
Reading out of Psalms chapter 106 and verse 4. Remember me, O Adawan, with the favor that thou bearest unto thy people. O visit me with thy salvation, that I may see the good of thy chosen, that I may rejoice in the gladness of thy nation, that I may glory with thine inheritance. We have sinned with our fathers. We have committed iniquity. We have done wickedly.
Right, so we have done wickedly, but he's saying to the Most High, remember me with favor. Okay, he's saying that I may see the good of thy chosen, that I may rejoice in the gladness of thy nation, that I might glory with thine inheritance. So we're asking for a blessing from the Most High because none of us have kept the laws 100%.
Okay.
But we always pray that the Most High has mercy, pity on us. Read on.
Verse 7. Our fathers understood not thy wonders in Egypt.
And that's what we got to come to understand. In that moment in time, our forefathers didn't understand exactly what was. They didn't understand what the Most High was doing. Even though Moses would explain it to them like he explained it to Pharaoh, we didn't get the full picture. We didn't understand the deliverance process. Read on.
They remembered not the multitude of thy mercies.
Remember, first mercy was us not being hit while we were in Goshen. First mercy was other side of Egypt being destroyed by all the different plagues, the 10 plagues, but then we were in Goshen not being hit at all. We didn't fully appreciate that. Read on.
But provoked him at the sea, even the Red Sea.
Because that's the spirit that's in us. Scripture tells us that we have a rebellious spirit. So we provoked the Most High, even at the Red Sea, even after just being delivered, we saw something that kind of messed with our faith, messed with our belief in whether or not the Most High could deliver us. We saw an impediment. We saw something that looked impossible. So, of course, we rebelled and started provoking the Most High at the Red Sea. Read on.
Verse 8. Nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake.
And that's what it's all about, the Most High's name's sake. Okay, he chose and created the nation of Israel to love and to be his people. But at the end of the day, it's all about the Most High's namesake. He's doing this for him.
That's right.
You understand? It benefits us. It blesses us. We get out of it. But at the end of the day, he's doing it for him, because if it was for us, mess everything up. If it was required that we were saved because of what we do, we wouldn't be saved. Plain and simple. Read on.
Nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake, that he might make his mighty power to be known.
And that's what the Most High did during that time when he destroyed the most powerful nation on the earth, kingdom of the land of Egypt. When he destroyed them, he made his name known over all the so-called gods of Egypt. That's what those plagues were about, destroying the so-called power that these gods had. Read on.
Verse 9, he rebuked the Red Sea also, and it was dried up. So he led them through the depths as through the wilderness. And he saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and redeemed them from the hand of the enemy.
Even though we were rebellious, even though we weren't appreciative of what the Most High did for us, he still saved us from those that hated us. Now, you always got to be spiritual. You know? Remember, we read the book of Exodus, how the Most High said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart.
Come.
I will not I will not allow him to let you go. So you got to understand the process. Why did the Most High do that? Because he wanted to make Pharaoh even more angry. He wanted to make it seem even more impossible for Israel to be let go. Why? We just read it for you. Understand? So that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, the Most High has done a lot for Israel from the beginning up until now. So read verse 10 again.
Verse 10, and he saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and redeemed them from the hand of the enemy. And the waters covered their enemies. There was not one of them left.
Now, we didn't have to do a thing for this to happen. We didn't have to do anything for the Most High to destroy our enemies. Matter of fact, we didn't even deserve it. But it says that, and the waters covered their enemies, and there was not one of them left. So the Most High destroyed all our enemies. Okay, then verse 12.
Verse 12, then believed they his words. They sang his praise.
Then we got faith. Then we believed in the Most High's word. But what happened after that? Verse 13.
Verse 13, they soon forget his works. They waited not for his counsel.
That's that rebellious spirit that's in Israel. That's that rebellious spirit that's going to get a lot of us killed out here. Last days.
That's right.
Not waiting for the Most High, not having faith in the Most High. But what it says in 14?
Verse 14, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and tempted the Most High in the desert.
Now imagine that. I can understand we tempt each other. We fight with each other. How are you going to tempt the Most High? But that's the spirit that Israel has. Tempting the Most High. After all of the wonderful works that he did in Egypt and at the Red Sea, destroying our enemies, still turning around and be like, okay, now we ain't got nothing to eat. What you going to do about that? We ain't got nothing to drink. What you going to do about that? But see, that's the spirit that Israel has. That's that rebellious spirit. So now you and I, as Israelites, as individuals in the nation of Israel, we got to check ourselves, man. Because what happened? How many of them survived wilderness that came out of Egypt?
None.
Just two, Joshua and
Oh
Caleb.
yeah, those two. Yeah, I mean.
But let's get the numbers right. The scripture says 600,000 men on foot, footmen, right? It says not counting the children, but not counting the women also. Meaning what? Over 1 million people died that came out of Egypt. It was their children that went into the land of Israel. What does that mean? The Most High's not playing. Okay, he'll bring you out, and he said he's going to bring us out again, right? How many of us are going to survive that? How many of us are going to survive that? Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 12.
Could I read verse 15?
Go ahead.
Or verse 15. Well, let me read 14 again. Verse 14, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and tempted the Most High in the desert. Verse 15, and he gave them their requests, but sent leanness into their soul. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
So he gave them what they asked for.
Gave them what they asked for. The problem with Israel is that we have a short memory. Okay? The problem with Israel is that we don't appreciate what the Most High does for us. How could you not appreciate being the people of the Most High?
That's right.
Out of all the nations that the Most High created on this planet, he only chose one. That's the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Exodus chapter 12, verse 12. Let's get into Passover, what it means. Feast of Unleavened Bread, what it means, and how does that impact us during the time of Passover, during the time of Feast of Unleavened Bread, but all year long. Okay, because you have that physical leaven, which is that yeast, which is that baking soda, which is whatever rising agent that we use to put in our foods, make it rise. Okay, but then there's also that spiritual leaven that we need to get rid of. There's also that spiritual leaven that we need to move out of our bodies. And it's very significant, relevant to salvation. It's relevant to us being saved. So let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 12.
Reading out the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt
Now,
this
is a
night.
definition of what Passover means. Okay, we need to get this. Read that again.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
So now this is what the Most High was talking about in the book of Psalms. He killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians. Read on.
Both man and beast. And against all the powers of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Most High.
Read.
Verse 13, and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
So the blood of the lamb, the blood that was spilled, we killed the lamb for Passover, that blood put three places. Side posts of the house and the upper posts. Understand? Very symbolic. That's very symbolic. Okay? Read on.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
So now remember, the blood was supposed to be a
praises.
token or what? A sign to us. Very symbolic of that blood. So now the Most High said, and the blood shall be to you for a token or a sign upon the houses where ye are. Because you are going to be saved. Understand? By this blood. He goes on to say what? When I see the blood, I will what?
I will pass over you.
I will what?
I will pass over you.
So from the blood of the lamb that the Most High instructed us to put on the two side posts and the upper post, Most High says, when I see that, I will pass over you. And that's the definition of Passover. I'm going to pass over your house because you followed my instructions. You did what I told you to do. Read.
And the plague shall not be upon you.
That plague is the plague of death. That plague is the death of every firstborn in the land of Egypt. Okay, but the Most High did what? He did not touch any of the firstborn of the nation of the house of Israel. Read on.
And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you.
So the Most High blessed us in doing that. But we were blessed because we followed instructions. Read on.
When I smite the land of Egypt.
Read.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
So if you look at the scriptures, Most High speaks about redeeming us from Egypt many times. Many times he mentions that, right? There's a reason for that. Because it's supposed to be a memorial to us. We're supposed to remember that. Always remember that. Because that's our first redemption. Read.
And ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High throughout your generations.
This is very important. Because some brothers have a problem with that. This is instructions. Now remember, you were saved because you followed the instructions to put the blood on the two side posts and the upper post. Here's another instruction that a lot of brothers got a problem with. That's going to cost you salvation. Read it from the top again, 14.
Verse 14, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
So the first instruction is that it's supposed to be a memorial. You're always supposed to remember that. Read.
And ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High throughout your generations.
And we're going to read that slowly so those that don't understand get a better understanding. Read it again, word for word.
We're now to Exodus chapter 12, verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye,
meaning you, Israelites, same ones that put the blood on the two side posts and the upper posts, that followed the instructions back then and didn't get killed. Read.
And ye shall keep it a feast.
Stop. You're supposed to keep it a feast. How long? That's the problem. Some brothers think, oh, we're not in the land. Some brothers think, well, we don't have to do that anymore. It's the new covenant. It's the new this. But what does the Most High say?
Ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High.
To the Most High. And that's also very important. You're not keeping it for yourself. It's the Most High. Read.
Throughout your generations.
Throughout your generations. Read.
You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance.
What's an ordinance? An order. You shall keep it a feast by an order of who? Most High. The Most High saying this. How long, my brother?
Forever.
How long, my brother?
Forever.
How long, my brother?
Forever.
What about when we were just in the land, huh?
Forever.
How about when we were just back then in Egypt?
Forever.
The wilderness.
Forever.
Forever includes America, wherever you are, Jamaica, the Caribbean.
That's right.
Europe, wherever you are, the Most High. Read that last precept again, my brother.
Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
That's the instructions of the Most High. Follow the instructions. When you were in the land of Egypt, put the blood where you're supposed to put it, saved your life. What about the rest of the instructions? Because not doing this might cost you your life also. See, Israel, like we read in the book of Psalms, very rebellious and had a short memory. Most High would do an incredible miracle for them. 5 minutes later, they forget. But what about this over here?
Exactly right.
That's what we do. And that's a problem. Now, we wanted to read a definition of Passover, and in verse 14, it said, Most High says what? I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you. Everybody understand that? Now, let's go to the book of Exodus chapter, stay in Exodus chapter 12, go to verse 33. Let's read about Feast of Unleavened Bread and what that means.
12:33.
Yes, sir.
Read out the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people.
Now, this is after the death of the firstborn. This is after all the plagues. This is when Pharaoh got up that morning and his child was dead, and he was crying with the rest of the Egyptians. And he said, man, y'all got to get up out of here, man. Read verse 33 again.
Verse 33, and the Egyptians were urgent upon the people.
Because they didn't want to die. They saw how the Most High killed their animals and how he had all the plagues, and then he saw how the Most High killed all their firstborn. And they said, what? Read that again.
And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people.
They were rushing them. Go ahead.
That they might send them out of the land in haste.
Why?
For they said, we be all dead men.
Why? Because now they realize that there's only one true power on the earth. Forget about all these other crazy little so-called gods.
That's right.
Ra and Seth and all of these fake people, right? Now
That's
they realize the only true power was the Most High. So they realize if the people of the Most High stayed in the land, they'd be all what? Dead men. Read on.
And the people took their dough before it was leavened.
So this is the definition of unleavened bread. Read.
And kneading trough being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses.
Very important. Here we are again, doing according to the word of Moses, which is the word of the Most High. Read on.
And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels and silver, and jewels of gold and raiment.
Right. So we followed the instructions of the Most High. But in verse 34, it says, and the people took their dough before it was leavened. We didn't have a chance to put any yeast or baking soda or any rising agent in our food, in our bread that night. You understand? But the Most High wanted us to remember that also. The Most High wanted us to remember that also. So he said, you shall keep the feast of unleavened bread 7 days, forever, throughout your generations. Everybody understand that?
God.
So it's not just about what we did in Egypt or in the wilderness or what we were doing in the land. This is our heritage, man. Brothers don't understand that. We came to this country in the different parts of this world, and they gave us a new heritage. They told us what it means to be black. Okay, you gonna listen to rap music? You gonna wear your pants down on below your waist? They told us that's what black is. You gonna listen to all kind of silly songs. You gonna walk out there like you a gorilla. Okay, you gonna walk like that. They told you what your culture is, but the Most High is telling you what your culture is. But because you're rebellious, you don't want to listen to the Most High. You want to listen to what Esau says. You understand? Because a lot of us run around talking about, I'm proud to be black. What is black? Definition that they had for black was ignorant, dark. That's the definition. Saying you're proud to be ignorant, proud to be dark. But they define themselves as what? White.
Pure.
What? Glorious and pure. Right? So they told you were cursed and they were blessed. That's exactly what they did. Now, let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. Because I want us to also get another definition of unleavened bread. Unleavened bread is also called what, my brother? Exodus chapter 1, verse 14.
Read out Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field.
Right.
All their service.
So now, let's go to Exodus, Deuteronomy 16 and 13 first. I'm going to come back to that. My mistake. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 13. Because during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we have lamb, we have unleavened bread, and we have bitter herbs. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 3.
Read out the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 3. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it.
Now, this is going to be a definition of unleavened bread. You got the lamb. Now we're going to talk about a little bit more about the unleavened bread. Go ahead.
7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction.
So the unleavened bread is called the bread of affliction. The unleavened bread is called the bread of affliction. Read it. Why? Why is it called the bread of affliction?
For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou comest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy
Now we go back
life.
to Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. Now we go back. It's called the bread of affliction. Unleavened bread is called the bread of affliction. Now we go back to Exodus chapter 1, verse 14, and we find out why it's called the bread of affliction.
Read now the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Exactly. Now read verse 11.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them
Right.
with their burdens.
Now that's why it's called the bread of affliction. Okay? It's called the bread of affliction because the Egyptians set taskmasters over us to afflict us. Read.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
But what did Israel do? Verse 12.
But the more they afflicted them, in more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Okay. So now, unleavened bread is called the bread of affliction, and the reason why why it's called that is because the Egyptians afflicted us. Okay. You go back to 13. That's actually 13 and 14. That's actually the definition of bitter herbs. Verse 14. I'll read it. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. That's the definition of bitter herbs. That's why it's called that. They made their lives bitter. They made our lives bitter. Everybody understand? I hope I didn't confuse you. I kind of messed it up, but the bitter herbs is called bitter with hard bondage, mortar and brick, and all in all manner of service field. It's like how we went through slavery. Same thing. They made our lives bitter because we're in the fields picking cotton and so forth on sun up to sundown. Understand? Same people. Same people being afflicted by another people. This time, when we were in slavery in America and the Caribbean islands, we were afflicted by the Europeans. Okay? So I hope everybody got that definition. Now let's move on to Numbers chapter 9, verse 5, because we did keep Passover in the wilderness. Numbers chapter 9, verse 5.
Now the book of Numbers, chapter 9, verse 5. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai.
In the wilderness of Sinai. So we kept the Passover in the wilderness. Wanted us to know that because it's significant, because even while we were pilgrims and not having a set place to live, we kept the Passover.
That's right.
In the wilderness. Read.
According to all that the Most High commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel.
So we were respectful to the law back then. When we were in the wilderness, we kept the Passover in the wilderness. That's important. Because now we're in the wilderness of America. We're in the wilderness of the world. Still have to keep the Passover. Still have to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Everybody understand? All right. Let's go to the book of Go to Exodus. Matter of fact, let's just go to the book of Exodus chapter 13, verse 3. Exodus 13 and 3.
Read out the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse 3. And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of the hand the Most High brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten.
So the memorial of keeping the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, something that the Most High asked us, commanded us, I should say, keep forever. So in not eating leaven for 7 days, we're showing the Most High that we're devoted to Him, following His commandments. And we're remembering what our forefathers went through over 3,000 years ago. That's very important. All right, so now let's get on with the lesson. Let's go to the book of, let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 35 and 1. Because when we were in the land of Israel, we kept the Passover. And it's important that we know that, because there were periods of time when we were in the land that we didn't keep the Passover. When the king didn't follow the rules, didn't know the rules, the book of the law was lost. You understand? But when we were in our right mind and we had a righteous king, we kept the Passover. 2 Chronicles chapter 35.
Read out of 2 Chronicles chapter 35 and verse 1. Moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Most High in Jerusalem. And they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month.
Right, so they kept Josiah, which was a good king, righteous king, like Hezekiah was a good king, also kept the Passover. Kept beautiful Passovers, big, large Passovers, and it was something to look forward to. So when we're in this country, we look forward to these fake holidays. Like now, people are celebrating Easter. They don't even know why. Okay? They're celebrating Easter. They're going to look forward to the 4th of July. They're going to look forward to Christmas, right? So they don't even know what it means. That's not your heritage. That's not your culture. Understand? So now, we're reading about our history. So read verse 7.
Verse 7. And Josiah gave to the people of the flock lambs and kids, all for the Passover offerings, for all that were present, to the number of 30,000 and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king's substance.
That's a lot. You understand? We were in our land, and we were free to do what the Most High told us to do, and we did what the Most High told us to do. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. And his princes gave wittingly unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites, Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiel, rulers of the house of the Most High, gave unto the priests for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle and 300 oxen.
Amazing. Let's go to verse 17.
Verse 17. And the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at that time, and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days.
So we still kept it in the land. Most High would bless us in the Passover of unleavened bread. We didn't forget it. Like I said, there were times when you had kings that weren't about the law. Because the king wasn't about the law, the people weren't about the law. Because the king didn't execute the law, okay, enforce the law, people didn't go into the law. Understand? So we don't have a king right now to enforce the law for Israel. We have a president that, of course, they have nothing to do with the law, right? What does that mean? Up to us, individual Israelite, follow the law, learn the law, to keep the law. Understand? Because even though you're not in your land, Most High is still watching you. Most High has brought you this far into the truth. He's given you the law. So we have to keep it. It's up to us. It's not going to be all Israel that keeps it. But that doesn't matter. Those that know better have to keep it. Let's go to the book of Matter of fact, go to stay in Chronicles and go to verse 2. 2 Chronicles 35 and read verse 2.
Read out of 2 Chronicles chapter 35 and verse 2. And he set the priests in their charges and encouraged them to the service of the house of the Most High.
This is what a good king does. Read on.
Verse 3. And said unto the Levites that taught all Israel, which were holy unto the Most High.
So we had the Levites that taught all Israel. You understand? That's when we were in good standing. Because not only did we have a king that was righteous, we had our Levites, which were what? Lawyers. Meaning what? They knew the law of the Most High. And they taught all Israel. Read that again.
And said unto the Levites that taught all Israel,
Read.
which were holy unto the Most High, put the holy ark in the house which Solomon the son of David, king of Israel, did build. It shall not be a burden upon your shoulders. Serve now the Most High your power and his people Israel.
During the time of Passover, you understand? You understand that? Most High is telling them, look, this is Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is what I want you to do now. Put the ark in the temple. Read on.
Verse 4. And prepare yourselves by the houses of your fathers.
Prepare yourselves by the houses of your fathers. So he was commanding and telling them, prepare yourselves. Read.
After your courses, according to the writing of David, king of Israel.
And remember, the Levites had different courses. Some did the incense. Some carried, they had different functions. And it was beautiful because everybody was what in their course or what in their order. Okay, read on.
And according to the writings of Solomon, his son.
Read.
And stand in the holy place, according to the divisions of the families of the fathers of your brethren, the people. And after the division of the families of the Levites.
So now what I'm the picture that this is painting to you, what it looked like at Passover. Okay, remember the Levites were dressed in beautiful garments. They were in order. And whatever function they were doing according to their families and their courses, they did that. But it was a celebration that included the whole land. Understand? People came out looking beautiful. Their minds was geared towards the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They were willing. Everything was right. Read on.
Verse 6. So kill the Passover and sanctify yourselves and prepare your brethren that they may do according to the word of the Most High by the hand of Moses.
Right. So that was the command. Kill the Passover. Meaning what? Kill the lamb of the Passover. Understand? And do everything according to the law of Moses that the Most High gave to Moses. You understand? So again, you don't have this today. You don't have no Levites, brothers, sisters. You don't have nobody coming behind you say, remember Passover's coming up. Remember, clean your house. Get rid of all 11. You don't have that. But you have the Spirit of the Most High. You have His Word. You have knowledge that you're the people He's talking to. So now, it's even more important that we do it now, because that shows devotion. Everybody in here today looks beautiful, right? Just right. Celebrating the Shabbat. We're also celebrating the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I didn't go to none of your houses to see if there was leaven there. Because I'm not the Israeli police. Feel what I'm saying to you? No. It's going to take each individual to do it on his own to show their devotion. That this is meaningful. It means something. We're not just coming here warming a seat. You understand? We're coming here doing what the Most High tells us to do while we're together or while we're home. While we're on the job. You understand? You know, we ain't just faking the funk here. We're not faking the funk. We're Israelites, not just in the garments, but out the garments. Not just in the presence of each other, but while in the presence of our enemies and anybody else.
That's right.
So now, like I said, my brothers, you don't have the Levites telling you Passover coming up. Get yourself right, purify yourself. That's your job now. Okay? We'll be doing it here while we're together. But what happens when you go out that door? I can't see you, but Most High can see. So we have to make sure that we have that spirit of obedience, spirit of love that to do. Because guess what? Rehearsing. Remember how many of our brothers died in that? Because they didn't prepare themselves. Okay, our nation has a spirit of rebelliousness, right? So you're going to police yourself. No Levites out here policing yourself. No Moses talking about, remember, 7 days, no leaven in your house. You don't have Moses doing that right now. You're going to have to be your own Moses. Police yourself. Right thing. Because it's a joy. Some of us out here, we go on a 2-month diet. I'm trying to lose some weight, so I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. You do that, right? But what is 7 days? To show the Most High your devotion, bless yourself and bless your family, that's nothing. I feel good keeping the feast. I feel good checking everything I eat. I feel good cooking my own food, making my own unleavened bread. You see what I'm saying? Everybody should feel good about that. Because we're a part of a nation. This country, what are we? Nothing. We're black today, black African American tomorrow, colors yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? That's not a people. But to the Most High, you are a people. You are the Israelites. You are a nation of people, and that nation has laws. That law, what keeps us together, family, as a nation, as the people of the Most High. Let's go to the book of Ezra, chapter 6. Ezra, chapter 6. Ezra's right after Chronicles.
Got it.
I know, it's one of them hard books to find, so I had to make sure I got it right. All right? Ezra, chapter 6, verse 18.
Read out the book of Ezra, chapter 6, verse 18. And they set the priests in their divisions, and the Levites in their courses, for the service of the power, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month.
Very interesting. Children of the captivity. Why are we called the children of the captivity? Like that. We're captives in Egypt. But we just, at this point in time, we had just left Babylon. You understand? So that's why we're called the children of the captivity. But what happened in America? We were captives all over again. You understand? So we're called the children of the captivity. Read that again.
Now, 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 19. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month.
Read.
For the priests and the Levites were purified together.
And what does it mean to be purified? What does it mean to be purified? Read.
All of them were pure and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land.
That's what it means to be purified. That again.
And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land.
You have to separate yourself. Be purified. Okay, that's what we did here. Came back out of Babylon, back into the land, started rebuilding the land. Remember, the nations started coming around talking about, what y'all doing? Who gave you permission to build that wall? Why y'all building that temple? So they were around us talking their nonsense, but not only that, we came from Babylon with the influence of Babylon still in us.
That's right.
We're in America with the influence of America still in us. You could be in Jamaica, you could be in Cuba, you could be in wherever you are. As the children of Israel, you have the influence of the heathen on you. So you have to purify yourself. Yes, for Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but also, period, for your life. You got to get from under these things that they do, from under their holidays, from the foods they eat.
That's right.
From their behavior. This is a country and a land where you're free to walk around naked all day long. Naked all day long. Men and women do it. It's acceptable. Okay? Not only do you see it on your TV, you walk outside and you see it. It's the same nonsense. This is Sodom and Gomorrah.
Con.
Okay, but is that what the Most High wants for us? Is that what the Most High told us to do? So purifying yourself now, meaning what? Put that out of your mind. Stop thinking I gotta show my body for somebody to love me. Stop thinking that nonsense, man. Because then you're in the mindset of the heathen. They're telling you, wear as least as possible so somebody will see you and maybe love you and marry you. Anybody that sees you and marries you because you're naked is not going to stay with you. You're showing them everything. They just want to get what you got. Oh, you showing me something? Let me get some of that. Then I'm gone. Somebody's going to show it to me. You understand what I'm saying? So appreciate yourself. Have self-esteem. Like it says in the last precept, remove yourself from the, what did it say?
Filthiness.
Filthiness. Read it again.
And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land, to seek the most high power of Israel, did eat.
Did eat. Separated ourselves. We separated ourselves. Filthiness of the land. Do what? To seek the most high power of Israel, did eat of the Passover of unleavened bread. So you have to take yourself out of that mindset. Not only your clothing and how you dress, but what you consume. Okay, during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you have to make sure you consume only things that don't have leaven. Very important. Means that what? You got to check everything. You got to read ingredients. You should be doing that all year long, right? 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 But especially this time of the year, because you're looking for certain things that, you know, during the rest of the year you could eat, but you cannot eat during the Feast of Unleavened. Everybody got that? And this shows the Most High you're devoted. Me. This shows the Most High you want to keep my law. Why? Because you don't have Levites running behind you. Read what's in that in package. You don't have Moses saying, did you read what's in there before you eat it? You don't. But you're doing it. You're policing yourself. That's very important. That's very important, because if you don't do that, then what? You don't care. Right? All of us know we shouldn't eat pork. So we look for things that are called by the name of pork. Different names that they have. Right? We learn it. We make sure we don't do it. Beautiful. Now we're doing it with leaven. Everybody understand? Read verse 22.
Verse 22. And kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy.
With what?
With joy.
What?
With joy.
With what?
With joy.
How did you keep the feast of unleavened bread? How did you keep Passover? Who was happy? Everybody should say they were happy, right?
God.
I was happy to be there. I was happy to be there to keep the law, to partake of the service, and to be amongst my brothers and my sisters, man.
God.
I went to every table in that spot. And I spoke to every brother and sister, everybody. Because that's my joy. I love that. I love to see the different camps come together in their beautiful garments. I love to see the different brothers and sisters from the different states come together, and we're all joyful. You understand what I'm saying? I love that. So read that again.
And kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy.
Joy. Read on.
For the Most High had made them joyful.
Did the Most High make you joyful?
Con.
Did the Most High make you joyful on the Passover night? Is the Most High making you joyful during the 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread?
Con.
Yes, because you got that spirit. You know better. You know what the Most High requires of you, and you love to do it. You don't feel like you're being forced. Ain't nobody going to run behind you and talk about, hey, is that leaven? No, you don't need that, because you're joyful in doing what the Most High told you to do. That joy right there, my brothers and sisters, turn into peace of mind. You understand? It's going to turn into, like the scripture says, joy. You're going to feel good. I feel good. You understand? I feel great doing what the Most High told me to do. Read on.
And turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of the Most High, the power of Israel.
The power of Israel. We're going to influence nations. You understand? Now, let's get into, let's go to Psalm chapter 51, verse 7. How do you purify yourself for Passover? How do you keep yourself purified? How do you keep your vessel unleavened, my brothers. How do you keep yourself clean? How do you keep yourself right for the Most High? How do you sustain the mindset to daily do what you're supposed to do? How do you do that? Go to Psalms 51, verse 7.
Read out Psalms chapter 51, verse 7. Purge me with hyssop.
Now, it says, purge me with hyssop, meaning what? Cleanse me. Read it again.
Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean.
And I shall be. But the thing is this. Read what he's saying. The will and mind right there. Purge me, and I will be clean. In other words, show me how to do it, and I'll do it. You got to have that mind. If you don't have that mind, you're going to be influenced by the heathen. If you don't have that mind, you're going to be influenced by anything that comes along. Okay? Read.
Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
You're going to have to want to be washed. Not talking about they dip you up, food, or whatever they got. We're not talking about that. We're talking about washing you spiritually. They break the law. They wash your prayer of that of the heart that's desiring to be corrected. Read.
Verse 8. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you something. Those bones, that's your vessel. Now, when these bones are broken, you have to find a way to make your vessel whole again. Okay? Now, read it again, verse 8.
Reading out of Psalms chapter 51, verse 8. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken.
The bones which thou hast broken. Why is your bones broken? You did wrong, and the Most High broke your bones. Broke your vessel. Got you all looking like Pinocchio. Okay? Like you're all up on strings up here. See what I'm saying? But read it from the top again.
Make me to hear joy and gladness.
Be glad in your sadness, man. You understand? Read.
That the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice.
You want your bones or your vessel to rejoice in being rebuilt, in being re-energized, rejuvenated. You understand? So while you're in this land, doing the walk, taking your daily walk, your bones are going to be broken. You're going to be affected. Your bones, meaning your vessel, is going to become sick. You know, you're going to become sick from many different things. You understand? Bones are not physically broken. But we go through things. Go through sickness, ailments. You understand? So you want to continue on your walk, even though your bones are broken. You want to be doing it with joy. Read verse 9.
Verse 9. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O power, and renew a right spirit within me.
Okay, we're going to come back to Psalms 51, but now let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, because your vessel needs to be intact, but the vessel is always going to be at war. The vessel is always going to be attacked. Okay? So you have to make sure you know how to do that. Wash me with hyssop so I'll be clean. Read.
Read now 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven.
Now, this is how you strengthen your vessel. How you correct what's wrong. Purge out therefore the old leaven. Read on.
That ye may be a new lump.
Be a new man, be a new woman. Read.
As ye are unleavened. For even Yahushua, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
Right. Understand? Read on.
Verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven,
So
neither.
Let us keep the feast, not with old leaven. That's very important. Not with our old ways, our old thoughts, our old behavior. Let us not keep the feast with that. Because what happens, demons don't take holidays. I'm going to say it again so you understand. Demons do not take vacations. Not going to Bermuda to talk about, I'm going to let them chill for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They good. 7 days, they good, I'm good. I'm just going to rejoice over here and chill. Then I'll get them. No, they right with you right now. They're right with you right now. right? So what do you have to do? You have to go into your mind and purge them out. Because that's what that is. You got demons in your head. You understand? You got the lazy demon, okay? You got the nasty demon, you got the lustful demon, you got all kind of demons on it. We have all kind of demons on us. But the Most High said, what? Purge out therefore the old lump, that ye may be a new lump. Read on.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Read read verse 8. Go ahead.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Now, it's saying something very important. It's not saying don't keep the feast. It's that therefore let us keep the feast. Very important. This is Paul writing to the Corinthians saying, let us keep the feast. Understand that. Not everybody understands that. You people of Corinth, let us keep the feast. Read.
Not with old leaven.
Not with the old ways.
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
You don't want to keep the malice of hatred. Peace with the malice of hatred. No. So you got to check yourself. Individually. I can't come up to you and say, well, let me look in your eyes. I see you got a little bit of lust going on there, bro. I can't tell. I'm not going to be able to see that. But you can tell. So you know within yourself there's something in you that says, I don't like Ahchaad. Them garments he be wearing is off. Right? That brother just too dark. I just don't know. I don't like him, man. You got to go in yourself and say, well, what is it that I don't like about the brother? Step to me, man. I'll let you know. I got this garment from Matatawa, so if you got a problem with me, check him. No. That's my brother. I love my brother. But what I'm trying to show you is that's how you get rid of that. Step to me and say, brother, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about you that I just don't like. Then we'll get to talking. We'll figure out what it is. You might be jealous. Might be envious. Okay, but you might be nothing at all. You might just have a demon on you making you feel a way. Okay, making you feel a way that you can't even comprehend. Understand? So we got to go within ourselves as individuals. Like I said, we don't have Levites. We don't have Moses coming behind us talking about, hey, check yourself. Read.
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
We got to become sincere and truthful with each other. We got to become sincere. Now, every high holy day that the Most High has a significance and relevance. Okay? We got to make sure we understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. Read. Matter of fact, no, stop. Don't read that. Read that right there. We'll come back to that another class. But I just want to read the last precept again.
Read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Right. Exactly. That's what we got to do. Okay? It's important that we do that, at least ourselves. But now, what happens if you keep some leaven and don't get rid of all of it? What if you say, well, you know, I don't hate the brother that much? Or what if you say, well, I'm not crazy about him, but I don't hate him? That's a little bit of leaven you're saving in your back pocket, right? Say it's not that bad, right? Is that okay? Huh? That's not okay. Why is that not okay? Verse 6.
Verse 6. Yeah,
You knew I was going.
Read out 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
A whole little bit of dislike, can turn into a whole lot of hate, but yet malice and so forth and so on. Now, the way I'm going about it and teaching it, it might sound simple, but it's complex. Who am I except to pot a moth and say, brother, you know, I just think you a little too taller than me. I don't like that, man. I know the brother that's that tall. Every time I see him, I know he was that tall. So I see him with Pastor. I say, hold on, man. Shoes off, bro. Right? See, you got to understand something. It's the hardest thing just to be honest with you. And this world teaches us not to be honest with each other. Right? We all say, somebody says good morning to you, say good morning, right? That's cool. But suppose it's not a good morning. Suppose it's not a good morning. Say bad morning. You don't say bad morning, right? Now that's a simple example. What if you're with a brother or a sister, and that brother and sister is being very sincere with you, yet you're holding something in your heart against that brother? When the brother says shalom, what do you do? When the brother says Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah, what do you do, brothers? What do you do? Because is that sincere? Is your salute sincere? Think about what I'm saying to you. Think about what I'm saying to you. This is not as simple as good morning. Now you're using the Most High's name, you're using Yahweh Shai's name. Not that simple anymore. Are you really blessing me in sincerity? Or do you have a little lump there you're holding in your back pocket? So that's why I said we have to examine ourselves when we go into it. Because if we don't, we're not being sincere. Now you might, he says Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. You say what, right? You say Yahweh Ba'ashem.
Word. Shema.
But it doesn't really excuse you from doing what you're supposed to do. Right? You gotta be sincere with this thing, man. Because the Most High is watching us. Everybody understand? So, for your vessel to be unleavened, you have to unleaven it.
That's right.
During the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we make sure we don't put any yeast, any baking soda, any rising agent in our bread, right? We do that to the bread, to the flour, right? So now we have to do that to our bodies, our minds. We have to do that. We got to go and say, hold on, man. This man ain't never did nothing to me other than being too tall. Right? So I got to step to that brother and say, brother, I don't know, something you said the other day, I didn't take it the right way. What did you mean by that? Something that simple, right? Or brother, how come every time I salute you, I give you a hearty salute and you like da-da-da-da-da? What's up with that? What's up with that? I remember one time back in the 90s, saw this brother in the street. Brother coming up in the ranks. I'm walking, he's walking west. You know, we on the street. Give our salute. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. So, did that. This brother stopped me going east. Turned me around to him going west. Said, brother, what kind of salute was that, man? He had other brothers with him, that's why. Okay? You ain't salute me right. Right? What are you talking about? You ain't stop and salute me. I said to this man, did this. You're walking, I'm walking. We looked at each other. We gave a hearty salute. He said, you ain't stop. Brother, we don't always stop when we salute each other. A sincere salute. But the spirit of pride was on that man. It later destroyed him. But the spirit of pride was on that man. See, and he wanted a little bit more front of the other brothers. You understand? So you got to be able to recognize what's on you, where you are, because it affects the way that you act and react. That spirit is leaven. And leaven grows, like it says in verse 6, a little bit of leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Everybody understand?
Good.
So when you put this, when you add words to that, you get a better idea of what it's talking about. Okay, you get a better idea how it can and has affected you so that you can grow. If you don't grow from that, you're in trouble. Let's go to the book of, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20. It's important that we learn from this, because if we don't, we're going to make the same mistakes all over again.
Come on.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20. You want to appear before the Most High. Oh. You want to appear before the Most High. Your full nature, your full sense. Okay? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23.
Read out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 22. Abstain from all appearance of evil.
That's the first thing you're going to abstain from the appearance of evil. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Anything that you think is evil, you don't mess with that. Very important. Read on.
And the very power of peace sanctify you wholly.
Sanctify you holy, meaning what? Body, soul, and your spirit. Sanctify you holy. The vessel is intact. Read on.
And I pray the Most High, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Hamashiach Yahushua.
That's our goal. That's our goal. That we appear before the Most High whole. Not just your soul, not just your spirit, not just your body, but the whole unit that the Most High put together. Understand? That's why we keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Because not only are we doing what the Most High told us to do, we are blessing ourselves. We are in the process, almost like a diet. Understand? But not no Jack LaLanne diet. Okay? This is a diet, Most High, and I shouldn't use the word diet because basically what you're doing is abstaining anything that has leaven. Right?
Right.
And it's significant because of what our forefathers went through over 1,000 years ago. The Most High told us, the Israelites, the children of Israel, remember what happened over 3,000 years ago. So every year now, I want you, the first month, on the 14th day of the month at sundown, to remember the Passover, how I passed over you, okay? And how you didn't have time to put dough, to have put leaven in your dough. Remember that and do that. And when you do that, then I'll bless you. Okay? So it's important that we remember that, but in that whole operation, what you're doing is you're keeping your vessel whole. We 23 again?
Read out 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23. And the very power of peace.
And the very power of peace. What can the power of peace give you? Peace. What can the power of peace? Walk around talking about we ain't got no peace, we ain't got no rest. I can't concentrate. Let the power of peace. That's the most. It says what? Read it again.
And the very power of peace sanctify you wholly.
He's going to do what? Sanctify. He's going to separate you from this world. Separate you from the heathen like we read in the book of Ezra, right? That's what he's going to do. Separate you from all of that madness. And do what? Whole. Whole. You'll be presented whole to the Most High. Body, soul, and spirit, my brothers and sisters. Read on.
And I pray the Most High, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming.
How are you going to be preserved blameless? One, Most High's will. With joy we read, right? With joy we read, right? With joy. Read on.
Be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Malak Hamashiach Yahushua.
That's the goal. You want to be preserved, spirit, soul, and body, holy to the Most High. Okay, unto the coming of our Adawan Yahushua. That's very important. That's why we do this. That's why we come to remind each other, which is what this is. It's a gathering. It's the assembly of reminding of each other why we do what we do. Why it's significant and relevant that we do what we do. Why we should joyfully keep the days. Why we should joyfully make sure that what we're eating in these 7 days has no leaven in it. Why we should keep our vessel whole. Understand? Let's leave from there. Go to the book of Mark chapter 14. And I want to show you something. Yes, I know, we know, because we live in this world. We're in these bodies. It's not easy to do these things. And even some of the best that have tried to do it, they've made mistakes. Remember Moses, my brothers and sisters. Moses, we say he's one of the best. We say Moses was a real first king, first leader, right? Remember Moses in the beginning, he had killed that Egyptian. He ran out of Egypt. And he ran out of Egypt because he feared that Pharaoh might kill him, right? Now, everything was done according to the will of the Most High. Get that in your mind first. But nonetheless, what was Moses feeling? He was feeling fear. So the Most High used that fear to get him out of the land, which is what he wanted, right? But then that same Moses was empowered by the Most High. That same Moses, Most High increased his faith 100-fold and said, go back to the land now, deliver my people. Moses slipped back from it and said, wait a minute, man. Who am I? Who am I? Go in there and grow with them. Don't ever discount ourselves. Most High has a plan for all of us. Every single one of us. What we're supposed to do, be ready. Overcome fear, overcome doubt, overcome all those demons or leaven that's in our bodies, so we can be prepared for the work of the Most. Everybody get that? Now let's read about our brothers in Mark 14:1. Go ahead.
Now the book of Mark, chapter 14, verse 1. After 2 days was the feast of the Passover and of unleavened bread.
Now, even during the time of Yahushua, of course, we still kept the Passover. Right? Read.
And
Not
the
only
chief
Passover, the feast of unleavened bread. Read on.
and the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft.
Now, when you examine this carefully, you see that there's some important men in here. Chief priests. And the chief priests and the scribes, which were the historians, sought how they might take him by what? What is craft? What is craft? Because these are men of the book. They teach the law, right? The chief priests, my brothers and sisters. I got a little definition of craft here. It says craft, guile, deceit, subtlety. Subtlety, okay? Chief wanted to take Ahchaad by deceit, by guile. But doesn't it say if you're the chief, know this book better than anybody else? No. They did know. But they wanted to take him by guile, by craft. Read on.
And put him to death.
Put him to death. What did this man do? What did he do that was worthy of death? Nothing. Because they had 11. I'm going to identify the 11 for you. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might take him by craft. That's 11, my brother. Guile is 11. You understand? So they were the men of the book, but they didn't understand the book. You understand? Did it not say, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart? They didn't get that part? I bet you $1 they taught that, though. Don't hate each other. Just give me some tips. just put something in my hand every time I come by, right? That's the only part they remembered. But the chief priests and scribes, they should know better, right? But they sought to put him to death. Read on.
Verse 2. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people.
Now, what does that mean? They didn't want to upset the people, right? Again, that's all wickedness. Let's do it in secret so that, we can get rid of him and nobody will remember him. Read.
Verse 3. And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment of spikenard, very precious. And she brake the box and poured it on his head.
Now this woman, which is Mary, sister of Martha and Lazarus, right? She didn't have leaven in her. Her sister Martha had a little something in her. We read it, right? She didn't have it because she bought very expensive ointment to anoint his body, right? But let's see what others said. Read.
Verse 4. And there were some that had indignation with themselves.
What's indignation, my brothers and sisters? They had this form of leaven, my brothers and sisters. The leaven of anger had it in them. Anger of wrath, they had it in them. Leaven of choler, they had it in them. See, what I'm trying to show you is that it's around us, in us, And sometimes we don't even know. Chief priests, they thought they were doing the right thing. Yes, they did. The Pharisees thought they were doing the right thing. You understand? But the problem is that sometimes it's in you and you can't identify it. You just think it's normal. So that's why the scripture says examine yourself to see whether or not you're in the word. Let's read on.
And there were some that had indignation within themselves and said, why was this waste of the ointment made?
Why was this waste of the ointment made? Who made that statement? Who made that statement?
Judas.
Let's go. Let's stop and hold that. We're going to come back here and go to, what is that? John 12:27? Or is it Matthew? I had it. John 12:4. John chapter 12, verse 4.
Read out the book of John, chapter 12, verse 4. Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him.
This is the one that made that statement. You know, when you read it down, you might think, okay, you know, he cares. But read on.
Verse 5. Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? Then he said, not that he cared for the poor.
Read that again, my brother.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor.
So what does it mean to not care for the poor? What does that mean? Walking with them.
That was just a statement he
Which
made.
is another word, not having charity.
Right.
One of the most important ingredients. Didn't have charity. But you're walking with H.O.D.C and you don't have charity. How is that possible? You can be with right leader, right influence, yet there's something lacking in you. Remember, Judas followed Christ, H.O.D.C the whole time. But in the end, he betrayed him, right? But it shows you that he didn't have charity. He didn't care for the poor. Did H.O.D.C care for the poor? Of course he did. Blessed are the poor, he said. Fed them, healed them. Remember that, right? Remember that? So one of the key ingredients for salvation is charity. Remember that. Read, my brother.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief.
He was a what?
He was a thief.
Now, what kind of leaven is that? What kind of leaven is that, my brothers and sisters? You walking with the Son of the Most High. You following him all day long. Okay? You know what I'm saying? He's teaching and he's healing and all of that, but yet you're a thief. What kind of leaven is that, my brothers and sisters? You see what I'm saying to you? So you can be this close to righteousness, but yet you are not righteous. You see what I'm saying? That's why you got to be the Levite to police yourself. You got to be Moses to check yourself. Am I right? Am I doing the right thing? Do I have leaven in me? I think right? Do I respond right? Am I dealing with my brothers and sisters right? Or do I have leaven in me? Because this brother right here, all along, he thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was going to force H.O.D.C's hand to make him use power to kill and destroy all the Romans. Now, I'm going to tell you something. He thought he was right. Man heals people. He brings people back from the dead. Sure enough, he can destroy all the Romans and just save us, right? That's what he thought. That was his thought process. In his mind, right. In his mind, he was like, man, I'm going to bring these soldiers. Then I'm going to force them to just call down the legion of angels, and they're going to kill all the Romans, right? That's what he thought. That was his thought process. Went and sold out Christ because he said, this is going to make him do what he's supposed to do, right? You can have a thought in your mind. Think is righteous. Nothing but leaven clouding your thinking. Nothing but leaven drowning out your conscience. You understand? Because your conscience is going to be saying, what are you doing, man? That's crazy. That ain't right. See what I'm saying? So, when we read the scriptures, we got to actually examine what's being said and what kind of example it should be to. Let's continue.
But because he was a thief and had the bag and bear what was put therein.
He was stealing from Christ, man. Come on, what kind of thing is that? How you going to steal from the Messiah? But you see, that's the beauty of the word. Some people, when they go to church and they sing, let's sing Psalms 23, brothers and sisters. And they got a whole big old hymn book, bigger than the Bible. Bible here, hymn book, we go big like this, right? Let's open to hymn 2099, right? Then we all get up and we sing and we move from side to side, and it's a service. We sing like 15 songs, right? We're up in there for 4 hours, singing and moving, and we're looking at that. We're moving like this, right? But the point of the matter is this, man. You could be amongst that what you think is righteous. You will not be righteous. You're just vibing off them. I'm one of his men. Yeah, I'm one of the 12. What? Right? But you're not righteous. See what I'm saying? We got to police ourselves. We got to examine ourselves and go within ourselves and say, am I really right? See what I'm saying? Because if you don't, then you're wasting your time. Like I said, I can't come to your house and check your fridge. It's 11 up in here. I can't do it. That's not my job. That's your job. Right? You got to be filled with joy, like the scripture said, to keep the days, the high holy days and so forth. Right? If you don't, my brothers and sisters, wasting your time. But here is a righteous statement that I said. Verse 7.
Verse 7, then said Yahushua, let her alone. Against the day of my burying has she kept this.
Right. You understand? Let her alone. Now that's love, right? That's charity, right? See, Yahushua exemplified that for us. Okay? Read verse 8.
Verse 8, for the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always.
Exactly. Understand? So the poor we always have with us to be charitable with. Understand? But in that scenario right there, only had Yahushua for a short time. So important when you read about Judas Iscariot. So important when you read about Thomas Didymus that doubted him. That he came back and said, put your hand inside my flesh. Do we need that much? Because doubt, leaven. And that doubt is a very powerful leaven. Grows and grows and grows. You understand? To the point where you doubt everything. But you can still walk with the man though, right? Walk with him the whole time. I'm trying to tell you, man. The thief walked with him the whole time. The doubter walked with him the whole time. Right?
Okay.
Then we got Peter. That guy had all kind of issues. Walking with him the whole time. Denying him 3 times before the...
That's right.
All right? What does that mean? You with me to the last minute, but at the last minute, I don't know him. You understand? So, we look at these men as being the best of the best. They had issues. Had leaven. The vessel wasn't whole. Okay? Matter of fact, the scripture said what? This night shall you all what? All leave me. Now leave me and yeah. They were with him the whole time, but when that danger presented itself, when the possibility of death that presented itself, they all scattered. 12 disciples. What made them scatter, my brothers and sisters? 11 of. But you understand that?
Okay.
Caught them at the right moment. What? About to be crucified? Man, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. You understand? But Yahushua had so much love, had so much charity, ocean. You understand? That's important because that's how we have. We can celebrate the feast of unleavened bread for 7 days and not have no leaven in us. 7 days, right? Good. We keep. Now we have to get to the point where we all the other leaven that doesn't. You mean to tell me that after the feast of unleavened bread, you can have hate in you, indignation in you, After the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days, you can get you some murder. You can get you some. Can you do that? Can we do that? Which means that we have to keep the leaven out of us. And I keep using the word leaven because it grows and grows and grows. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So it's important that we examine ourselves. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24. Come on. Your time check. First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 20.
Now the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me.
Now, Yahushua offered himself. He said, I can call my Father and 12 legions of angels, full of love, charity, to offer himself. Right? He said, take my body. What was he actually breaking? Unleavened bread. Right?
Kind.
That's what he was doing. He said, take, eat my body, which is broken for you, for us, 12 tribes of Israel. Then he said, what? This do in remembrance of me. We're supposed to always keep Passover, unleavened bread. When we do it, we remember Yahushua. But not just the Yahushua that was on the tree, sacrifice. Man Yahushua. Man that allowed himself to be crucified for us. So if you give your life for your brother, what does that mean? Have no leaven in you. This is the man we're talking about. He gave his life for us. What were we doing while he was on that tree?
Hiding.
Hiding and making fun of him. Come down from there. Heal others, heal yourself. Right? That's what we were doing. Full of leaven. But he was on that tree free of leaven. Understand? Free of fear. Free of hatred and all that. You understand? Imagine being there up until that point and people are still making fun of you. You know why you're there, right? So it takes a lot to be like Yahushua. But he said what? Take, eat my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. Read on.
Verse 25. After the same manner, also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me.
We're supposed to always Passover, always. Let nobody tell you no foolishness. What the book says. Go to nobody and say, as Ahchaad said. No, it's what the book says. What the book says. Okay? In remembrance of who? Yahushua. Very important. Because you're going to have people that tell you, you're not supposed to keep the Passover no more. You got Christmas now. Right? Easter, bro. You see the word Easter in the book? You got to be the one to tell them, nah, that word is in italics. It should be there. You understand? But the point of the whole matter is that we have to be our own. Read on.
Verse 26. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Adawan's death till he would come.
So did he come yet? Did he come yet? Why am I not keeping the Passover? Why am I not keeping the Feast of Unleavened? Why? Because it says what? Read that again, man.
For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Adawan's death until he come.
Until he comes. About that. Remember that. Use that, man. Write it down. Okay? Underline it. And show somebody that one day. What you talking about? Not keeping the Passover Feast of Unleavened Bread. Do this to show our love and honor for Yahushua for what he did for us. Remember that. Okay, and in doing that, my brothers, you unleaven your vessel. In doing that, you free yourself up. In doing that, you empower yourself. Because sometimes we don't know how to respond. Sometimes we don't know. Brothers come and say, well, we're not in the land. We're not this, we're not that. Yahushua said, do it in remembrance of him. Remember that. Read on.
Verse 27. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Adawan unworthily.
Now, here's the part that we need to really focus on. Unworthy. What does unworthily mean? It means did not unleaven your. That's what that means. Worthy. You don't deserve it. Okay? Eat. Drink this cup of Most High worthily. Did not unleaven your. Get your mind right. You didn't get the hatred out, doubt out, lust out. Right? You didn't get none of that out. But I want you to remember, very important, thief, the doubter, right? Remember what I'm saying to you. The thief, doubter, and then we got Peter, okay? Who had all kind of issues, my brothers and sisters. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Do you hear what the word is saying to you? They were there breaking bread with him. Judas is the carrot. Breaking bread with him, and in the back of his mind, man, that's it, man. You ain't moving fast enough for me. I'm going to the chief as soon as we done this dinner. That's who was eating with him. Okay, so we're going to try. We're going to do our best to examine ourselves. We're going to attack whatever emotion that's been attacking us. We're going to really get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on with us. We're going to try to erase that, eradicate that, right? But not going to get all of it. As a matter of fact, you get all of it today, and tomorrow here's a new crew coming to you. All right, you got rid of them, what you'll do with us? What? You see what I'm saying to you? So that's why you have the example of these men. Then what did the Most High say to these men? What did the except for Judas, what did the Most High say to these 12 men? Ye 12 shall sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Did he not say that to them? Which means that the doubter made it, man. Do you understand that? The thief ain't make it. Know that. The thief didn't make it because he double-crossed him, right? But the doubter, Thomas made it. Thomas made it. About that. That's the whole point. You understand what I'm saying? But the idea, the objective is to do what? Constantly work on yourself. Because even up to that day, you're still going to have issues. But the Most High, the angel's going to say, okay, you've been working on yourself. I see that. You've been trying to stop doing this and that. And, you know, you've accomplished certain things. You understand? But what if you don't? You just sit back and chill like, this ain't for me, man. Or I'll just pretend. You understand what I'm saying? Then you're going to get caught the last day. But if you continually work on yourself, all right, brothers and sisters, I'm going to be all right. You understand?
Okay.
But I got to constantly do what I'm supposed to do. Because if I stop and I say, not today, or too much for me, then what happens? What happens? I'm not going to make it, because the doubter, Thomas Didymus, when he put his hand in his flesh, see, people didn't really get that. Because Yahweh Shai said, you know what? Come on. Got to show example here, bro. When Yahweh Shai allowed him to do that, what did he say? I know you need it. Y'all get that? Yahweh Shai was saying to Thomas, I know you need it. I'm going to let you do it. Put your hands in my flesh. Handle me, he said, right? I know you need this. So the whole point of the matter is that whatever position, emotion, situation you're in, Most High knows that. Yahweh Shai knows that. Like with Thomas, he's going to take you by the hand and help you. Did that help you? Help Thomas? Sure enough. Sure enough. So that's who we're dealing with. Merciful power. Okay? Yahweh Shai that knew we didn't deserve it. Still got on that tree and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Remember that? Give them. Now, I'm up on a tree, nail in my hand and my foot, right? Suffering, because you can't find no comfort. They used to put a little tiny chair under you. Not a chair, like a little lump that you could rest your body. But you're going to slip down, right? And then you're going to try to rise back up, but you find no comfort. You got pain here, so when you slip down in your hand, it hurts. And when your foot hurts, so when you push yourself back up, for a minute, but then your foot hurts because you put pressure on that. You understand? So the whole time he was on the cross, he found no comfort, my brothers and sisters. Yet we were still down there at the bottom of the tree talking about, look at him, man. Talking about he could heal people. Why he can't heal himself? You understand? So the physical pain was there, but the pain of the words, my brothers and sisters. All of that leaven coming out of them people talking about, look at him. All of that leaven. You understand what I'm saying? That hatred, that malice was doing it for them. Doing it for us. All right? So we got to try to picture that a little bit better, then we'll get a better understanding. What verse you in?
27.
Read.
Now the 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 27. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Adawan unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Adawan.
Amazing. Imagine that. Imagine that. I'll be guilty of the blood, body of Adawan. None of us want that, right? So my brothers and my let's keep working on getting that leaven out. Nobody is none of us. None of those 12 men that walked with him perfect. You understand? But yet, in the end, still accepted them. Everybody understand? Everybody really understand that? Because they were walking with him in their imperfection to show us that we, in our imperfection, can't be accepted, can't be saved. Everybody got that? So when I'm saying to you, get the leaven out, don't think that by the end of this class you're gonna be leaven free. I walk out of here like, I ain't really like the way he taught that class. You see what I'm saying? Because leaven is a thing, man. It's a demon. It walks with you. You know, you might be like, yeah, I love the way he taught that class, but the leaven comes on your shoulder like, yeah, you ain't really like what he said. Wish he was at home, right? Wasted your time. Leaven, that's a demon, man. The demon. Okay? Everybody got that? Read on.
Verse 28. But let a man examine himself.
Read that again.
But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup.
Examine yourself first. Okay? Examine yourself first, and then of that bread and drink of that cup. What do you think Judas did? Did he examine himself? His head was full of thoughts of how I'm going to get this done. But he was allowed to be at the table, my brothers and sisters. You got to get that. Thomas was there. He was allowed to be at the table. You can be at the table as long as you're working on yourself. But you must examine yourself first. Let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread, that cup. Read.
Verse 29. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily,
meaning you're still full of leaven, meaning you haven't done anything, you haven't worked on yourself, you haven't tried. Read on.
Eateth and drinketh damnation to himself.
Damnation to yourself. Imagine you being at the Passover, right? There are people there in that room that you don't like. There are people there in that room that you have disdain for, right? Malice, hatred, jealousy, envy. Imagine that. Did you eat, drink? You drink in damnation to yourself. You eat in damnation to yourself. But you're working on yourself. That's the best thing you can read.
Not discerning the Adawan's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you.
Because you haven't unleavened your vessel. Understand? Sick, weak because you haven't unleavened your vessel. You're full of leaven. Remember, leaven is an added ingredient. You can eat bread without leaven. It's called unleavened bread. But when you put leaven in the bread, then it's called leavened bread, right? Leaven is an added ingredient. Hate, lust, envy, added ingredients. You're not born with that, but it attaches itself to you as leaven. You walk around with it in its character. It emboldens you. Okay? It gives you strength to become what you're not. You understand? Just like faith empowers you to be strong in belief, leaven empowers you to be what you're not. Okay? Now I want you to think of any example you could think of, because that's what it does. On the left-hand side, on the east side. Okay? If you don't like somebody, your leaven empower you to tell that person off. I ain't like you anyway, man. You know what I'm saying? Your leaven will do what? Make you want to fight that person. No, leaven will make you kill somebody, man. Because it grows. Little leaven at the whole lump. You started at dislike, then you went to hate, then you went to malice, then you went to murder. That leaven did that to you. You understand? So, not a joke, not something we should take lightly. Something that we should really do what? Like the scripture said, let a man examine himself. All examine ourselves. But then it also says, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. Read.
Verse 30, for this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep.
And many sleep. Many sleep. They're not there. They're not awake. Okay? But sleep could also mean death.
Okay.
Get that. 31.
Verse 31, for if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
That again.
For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
Which is what the class is about. Judge yourself. Do not be judged. Judge yourself whether or not right. Judge yourself whether or not what you're doing is right. How you feeling. Judge yourself whether or not how you're feeling is right. Is it right for me not to like this brother and he hasn't done anything to me? Think about that. Right? Because all of these things, what destroys our vessel, not worthy of heaven, of salvation. Everybody got that? Now, go to our last scripture. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. That's 1 Thessalonians 4.
Read out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 3, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification.
Start at verse 3.
Reading out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 3. For this is the will of the Most High, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication.
So the Most High's will is to separate you from fornication. Sanctify you. To sanctify you means to cleanse you, but it's separating you. Like how the 7th day is separated from the 6 days. So it's the Most High's will to separate you, right? So that you should abstain from fornication. Read on.
Verse 4.
Very important, verse 4.
That every one of you,
all of us, my brothers and sisters,
should know how to possess his vessel.
How to possess his what?
How to possess his vessel.
What is your vessel? Body. Read from the top.
That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel.
The word possessed is used, meaning what? Own. Own your vessel. You own your vessel, not the demons in you, brothers and sisters. That every one of you should know how to possess or own your vessel, my brothers and sisters. Own your vessel, meaning what? You free it from all kind of leaven, all kind of evil, all kind of wickedness. Read it from the top.
That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor.
And honor. Sanctification and honor, my brothers and sisters. That's the whole goal. What did Paul say? What? Soul, the spirit, and the body. How to possess that sanctification. Read.
Not in the lust of concupiscence.
No, you don't want that, because now you don't own your vessel. Spirit of lust owns your vessel. Do you understand that? You don't possess your vessel, because then the spirit of lust owns or possesses your vessel and is causing you to do all kind of things. Commit adultery, commit fornication. You understand? You have no control over yourself. Something else possesses your vessel. Read on.
Even as the Gentiles, which knew not the Most High.
And you know they went off. They did all kind of crazy things, orgies, all kind of things, right? Have where they go to the gym half naked, not even half naked, naked. Men walking around with other men naked. What happens there? You know what happened there? You watch killing, right? But that's the whole point. If you know how to possess your vessel, this won't happen to you. Read on.
That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter.
Because then you don't have the love of your brother. Steal from your brother. Read.
Because that the Adawan is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified. For the Most High hath not called us unto uncleanliness, but unto holiness.
Because all these things that possess our vessels, they make us unclean. I'll read verse 4 again. That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel or body or own body, keep your body, sanctification, honor. Got that? Shalom.
Shalom. All praises.
All praises. All praises.